Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Friends2Gether podcast in association with Let's Be Frank, the podcast of the Oasis Partnership. Friends2Gether is an intergenerational project funded by the National Lottery, focused on improving the wellbeing of those aged 18 to 25 and 55 plus. The aim of the project is to bring older and younger people together to provide mutually beneficial support and skill sharing opportunities in a creative and fun environment. So with that in mind, it's time to be creative and have some fun, everybody. We are joined by Molly again. Hello, Molly. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Sonia.
Hello, everyone.
And Phil again.
Hello.
Phil again is not his name, by the way. It's Phil. And we are joined by Phil, I should have said.
Again, yeah.
Today's podcast, we've got a few ideas what to talk about. But I guess, first of all, we should follow up from last week's show where we talked about the top 10 places to visit in Bucks. And we had some great feedback from a lot of our service users who listened to the podcast, coming up with their own suggestions. Everywhere I went for a couple of days, people were shaking their fingers at me, saying, you forgot this one and you forgot that one. And so we're going to go through a list. I've made a little list of some of the ones that people said to me.
That's amazing.
And if you could, I'm sure you came up with your own ones last week as well that we didn't cover on the list, or you could have a little think of anything that we might have missed. Hopefully I've got most of them here anyway. So are you ready for the first one? We did mention it on the podcast. Burnham Beeches, which England football team used to stay at, but it's like a hotel. I think Burnham Beeches Hotel, yeah. And teams before the FA Cup final all used to stay there. It's because it's quite near to London, and I think the transport routes to get to London are quite easy to just ferry the teams into Wembley Stadium. So the old Wembley Stadium teams used to stay at Burnham Beeches. I guess the clue's in the name, isn't it? I guess there's loads of beech trees over there. Have you ever been to Burnham Beeches, everyone?
Yes.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
When we were younger, so my nan had 4 daughters, so there's loads of us cousins, a lot of 15, 16 of us, and we used to meet every weekend in Burnham Beeches. Well, it seemed like every weekend, but as a kid it's probably maybe once a year or something. But we used to go and play rounders and football, and I used to love it because when we were going to Burnham Beeches, it meant that we were getting together all of our cousins, so it was just great fun playing in the woods and playing football. And we used to have a mass rounders game every time we met there. So it was like a big thing that we're going to be playing rounders today. So I do love Burnham Beeches. I went there recently on a little walk around, and they've got lots of trails. So even if it's muddy, you can go walking around there now, because they've got some great trails. Concreted, I don't know if it's concreted or mulched.
Both.
Both, yeah, and you can still do your trails around. It's beautiful, isn't it? There's lots of deers and wildlife. There's cows actually in the fields, isn't there? Because there's cow pats everywhere. So there's cows wandering around. I guess, and I don't know if they're wild horses, but they keep horses and cows on the land as well. Burnham Beeches. Any thoughts on Burnham Beeches, Phil, before we move on?
They used to, the car parking, the voluntary car parking, they said your money could help because there are wild pigs going around there as well. They said your parking fee could keep a pig in acorns for 15 seconds. So that was...
yeah, they've got a little cafe there, haven't they, at the car park now. They didn't used to back in the day,
That's
but they
right.
have now. They've got a nice,
it's a nice
car
cafe. I think originally it was set up by the London Corporation as a sort of green area for people to come out in their charabancs from London, centre of London.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Molly, you ever been to Burnham Beeches?
No, never. But I like the story of with your cousins, because Ashridge is always that for me.
Yeah,
Ashridge is lovely.
Used to meet up with family a lot there, play rounders, get the gazebo out in the summer, just have a whole day there. Just
when I was little, sort of 1 and 2, I wouldn't go to the toilet, so my mum would. I was a bear, so that unless they took me to Burnham Beeches in the woods, I would poo in the woods. So I probably did go every week, didn't I? Because my mum was probably like,
I was going to say, once
he's
a
not
year,
going to the toilet.
Really wouldn't cut it.
Let's take him to Burnham Beeches so he goes to the toilet. So that's a bit of an in-joke in our family as well, that they had to take me, that I'm a bear, to poo in the woods. I had to go and poo in the woods at Burnham. So, depends if I want to reveal too much about my bowel habits as a 1 and 2 year old. It's a long time ago now, isn't it?
Apart from your poor mum having to deal with that.
Yeah.
She must have been going out of her mind.
She said I would do handstands, and I'd go like a week without going to the toilet and stuff.
It's not good.
But whenever we went to Burnham Beeches in the woods, I'd go to the toilet, apparently. So I'm literally a bear,
some sort of association.
I know, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? When I did go there recently, I did feel a bit of a quease in the stomach. It was like a flashback to Vietnam for me. The second one on the list, we mentioned it also briefly last week, Chiltern Open Air Museum. We didn't talk about it too much because we thought it might be further down the list, but it wasn't. But I went there twice last year. I loved it. We've got some connections here for our social prescriber who met with the wonderful Jackie who works over there, and she said to bring my nephews along, and I went, and I sort of booked an hour away with my nephews, and we were there for most of the day, I think. We loved it.
There's a lot
It's
there.
easily,
Wandering around.
There's a
easily
lot
done.
there.
We
Yeah.
were not bored at all. We just took our time looking around it, and there's so much wonderful stuff to see. All the different buildings throughout the ages, and they've got a little farm there now, lots of animals. Brilliant, yeah. And we were there for all day.
Iron
literally all
Age
day.
hut. You go
Yeah,
there?
Iron Age hut. Yeah, that was great, that one. Yeah. Well, when we went there was some event on, like it was a day, so they were all dressed up like Iron Age people, and they'd set a fire in there and to show you how the fire worked and stuff like that. Yeah. It was brilliant. Phil, you said you've taken Victoria's children there recently, did you?
If we haven't, we're planning to.
Yeah.
I think we probably did. Yeah.
It shuts in winter, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
only open sort of March time, so it must open soon actually. But it's great.
Do they have air shows and stuff there? Is that the type of thing they do?
Well, they had a dance kind of thing there last night, like a maypole dance kind of thing.
Did you get involved?
No, I didn't go to that one. And they do secret cinema stuff there as well. That's so people drive their cars up and they watch secret
I've
cinema
done
in
that
their
before.
middle bit there.
I'm going to interject. The only experience I've ever had of doing a drive-in cinema was the rainiest day ever, and so you're watching it through your window wipers.
Oh, no.
Not ideal.
Not good.
Dear.
I can't remember what film we went to see.
I remember going to Chiltern Air Open Museum. This was quite a few years ago. They had like a medieval reenactment.
Yeah, that's right. They
With the
do all those
battles and
as well,
everything.
yeah.
And unfortunately, somebody did get carted off to hospital. But what was great was that you obviously have like a whole weekend of enthusiasts that meet up.
Yeah.
And they're actually staying in the tents.
The appropriate buildings.
So it's not just
awesome.
about wearing the appropriate clothes, but they used to meet up because you'd find people carving like these wooden shoes that people would have worn in those times. And then other people that I know there was a guy demonstrating how they made woolen hats and things, by literally putting this piece of, you dunk the piece of wool in the water and then put it on your head. And that's how you do it.
And as Phil said last week, they've got a prefab there as well, haven't they?
Prefab's fantastic.
It is fantastic, yeah. And they've got pigs and sheep and lots of animals and a farm there and everything. It's a great place to go. Hours of fun for kids. I remember my nephew had a fallout with a goat. This goat kind of was eyeballing him, and I had to kind of drag him away, say, "You're not going to win that battle, mate." And this goat was stalking him after that. He was like following him along, just staring at him. And my nephew was like staring back over his shoulder, and it was like, "Don't outstare the goat. He's gonna." Yeah, come on, we're going.
Very determined.
And they've got lots of old farm buildings there as well, and lots of old farming equipment to show you how they used to farm in the old days and stuff. So, highly recommended. Chiltern Open Air Museum. So I think it's open in March. Molly, do you want to have a look on your information device so we're not giving out that information whilst we talk about that? But I'm sure it's March to October that they're open through spring and summer. So they must be open any time soon now. And a shout out to Jackie. Zoe bumped into her yesterday at an event that she was at. So hello, Jackie. From
She
Chiltern
works
Open
there,
Air
does
Museum.
she?
She does, yes.
Yeah, we went to a social prescribing event. Yeah, well, not me, but Zoe did.
Chiltern Music Therapy held a social prescribing day yesterday.
Where was that?
It was at the White Hill Centre, I believe.
Yes.
Just up the road.
The museum opens on Saturday the 9th of March.
I was right.
So we're right. Yeah.
My mind of useless information that retains stuff that it shouldn't. It actually retained Chiltern Open Air Museum's opening
Maybe I'll be
schedule.
there. Sounds good.
It does sound good. It does sound very good.
Is it free entry? No, I don't think
It isn't, no. But Jackie very kindly, as I was visiting on behalf of Oasis, gave me some gratis tickets to go in there. But because I had such a great day, I ended up putting more money than I'd have paid in the tickets in the pot just to help them carry on running.
I'm looking at the
place.
prices. It's actually very reasonable.
Yeah.
It's like £10 for an adult, and children
There is a lot
mostly
there.
go in free.
Yeah, and I think I put
Depending
30
on
quid
age.
in the pot just because I had such a great day and had such value for money that I put 30 quid in the donations pot. Yeah, so next one on the list, Beaconscott Model Village. Is it called Model Village or Miniature Model Village?
Got me there.
I think it's just Model Village.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? And that's in Beaconsfield. There's a clue in the name. Beaconscott is in Beaconsfield, and it's a miniature village. It's got lots of miniature stadiums and cities and stuff, isn't it? There's a little train that drives around the place. I haven't been there for years. We used to go all the time when we were kids. Anyone been there recently?
Not recently. One of our former colleagues, April, she takes her dog there a lot because her dog loves looking at the little miniature.
Looking at them or eating them?
No, she just likes watching them. She's fascinated by it, so she takes her dog there all the time. I used to go when I was younger a lot with my grandma. She used to take me. It's a nice memory for me, but I haven't been there in years. It kind of reminds me of Legoland a bit.
Yeah, certain similarities.
Never been to Legoland, so I wouldn't know.
Legoland's amazing.
That's not on the list because
It's not on
in
the list.
Buckinghamshire,
Sorry,
is it?
we're talking about,
we're not talking about neighbouring counties because they're dead to us. We don't worry about them.
There's enough going on in our
There's
county.
enough going on in Buckinghamshire. Phil, have you been to Beaconscott?
Beaconscott, yeah, we usually try and get a crop of young people as an excuse to go, but it is quite interesting. They've got lots of very nicely modelled houses. There's a sort of running theme of puns in the title.
Oh, yes, yeah.
There's a nice, quite elaborate train system going round. A lot of kids like running around following the trains and going to different junctions. Yeah, it's a very nice spot. I think it's like, sort of theme parks as they were 50 years ago.
Yeah, before.
Yeah.
There's pictures of in the 30s or something, and it's like absolutely chocker, people going around.
I think you've raised a good point there, Phil. I would really like to go to some of these places, like Chiltern Open Air Museum, like the Model Village, but you kind of feel like you need kids, like at least young people with you. Feel like you can't.
Oh yeah, you
go,
can't. You
I'd
can't
love
be,
to just go and see
yeah.
what it
Just
was
go.
like.
Who needs kids to go to these
I
places?
know, but you kind of feel like you
Spoil
need
yourself.
You feel like you need
excuse.
children to go, but actually, I'd be well interested. Just
Well,
to go
pretend
to
you're
the
doing a
Model Village.
recce.
Well, that's true.
Next on the list is Coombe Hill.
Oh yes, Coombe.
Has anyone been to Coombe Hill recently?
I don't even know where Coombe Hill is.
What is
Phil's about to
Coombe Hill?
educate you.
Okay,
both
so that's
on
just
Coombe Hill.
outside Wendover.
Oh, okay. Aylesbury Way then.
Aylesbury. It's on the escarpment. Lovely views when it's clear. It's quite a climb. It's a nice walk up from Wendover Station if you come by train.
Right.
And there's a monument.
I was going to say, is that where...
There's a monument
is
at the
there
top.
I've seen the monument from a distance.
The monument is actually not. You think it's a war memorial, and it is, but it's to the Boer War.
Oh.
It's not to the World Wars.
And Coombe Hill was donated by the Chequers estate to, I don't know who they'd have donated it to the National Parks Trust or somebody.
From Coombe Hill or nearby, you get a good overlook of Chequers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sort of looks over the Chequers estate.
There are actually some fantastic walks there. Very nice.
Well, Coombe Hill is often talked about in relation to another hill, I guess you could call it, but I always call it a mountain, and everyone says to me it's not a mountain, but to me it's a mountain. You ready, Phil? Ivinghoe Beacon.
There's a big footpath that goes all the way from the Birkbeck.
That's right, there's a
gets
walk,
down
isn't there? Yeah.
But yes, it's the end of that. Again, lovely views over out towards Whipsnade, Woburn Abbey.
Well, they say you can see 4 counties from Ivinghoe Beacon.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm not going to give away where my parents live, but just they're not too far away from Ivanhoe Beacon, and to go from here, you pass through 3 different counties. And it's only a half an hour journey.
I can never remember the 4 counties. It's obviously Bucks, Herts,
and
Bedfordshire, and there's a 4th one as well that apparently you can see.
I don't know, do they split Bedfordshire? Because sometimes it's central beds and...
Yeah, Luton and sort of Whipsnade and that way, isn't it? You can kind of see that from Ivinghoe Beacon. And the other interesting thing about Ivinghoe Beacon is they film a lot of movies and stuff up there. So one of the latest Star Wars movies was up there. One of the Harry Potter films, they filmed lots of the scenes up there as well.
Harry Potter, yes.
Yeah. Legend has it that it's a hotspot for alien landings as well. There's a bit of a valley next to Ivinghoe Beacon, and there's been lots of UFO spottings and aliens.
It's very flat,
isn't it? There's that
very
little
flat.
valley bit next to it. The friend I used to talk to in the pub, who's long gone now, he used to swore that he saw aliens there. They used to drive out there all the time, and they said that they saw UFOs. But it's on the trail of UFO.
He saw
spotters.
UFOs.
He used to recount this story about an encounter that he had with an alien life form.
I remember going to Whipsnade, seeing all the gliders up there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They've got lots of gliders.
And also they've got a medieval monument at the top, haven't they? There's some settlements or some stone monument at the top, which goes back to, I'm not sure how far back it goes. It might even be Stone Age. Let me have a look on Molly, you've got your information device up.
Yeah, I'm actually
what's on the
looking
top
up
of Ivinghoe
the 6
Beacon?
counties you can see from
Oh,
Ivinghoe
6
Beacon.
counties. Wow, I did it at the
6.
service. There's got to be Bucks, Berks, Herts, Bedfordshire.
Yeah, I'm just having a look.
Probably missing
Oxford?
Middlesex.
Oxfordshire?
Oh, maybe Oxfordshire.
Yeah, because it's near Chinner and Tame, isn't it? Pretty near Chinner and Tame, so that's in
it's probably
Oxfordshire, isn't it? So I reckon you can see Oxfordshire. So there's one we're missing, isn't there?
I don't know, Middlesex, maybe? They still count.
Maybe Berkshire as well. Well, no, Berkshire's a long way away, and Reading, and I don't know if you can see.
I wouldn't be surprised if you can't see it, though.
What would be on the tail end of what's North Berkshire? Can't think.
Slough.
Yeah.
Actually, that's classified as Buckinghamshire.
Could you have a look at Ivinghoe Beacon,
I think
Molly,
it's
to
a place
see
of its own. Yeah, it was Buckinghamshire.
what's on top of Ivinghoe Beacon, if it's where the monument comes from? and lots of people go there to worship the sun and stuff. It was a sun worshipping.
I'm sure it's a ley line.
Spot, yeah.
It's called the Bridgewater Monument, I think.
Bridgewater Monument's that's just before Ivanhoe Beacon.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's nice, it's lovely. It's named after something like Lord Bridgewater, who made his name famous by making canals. You think, well, that's a bit of a coincidence, having a name like Bridgewater and making canals.
Isn't it just?
You don't know which way round it was.
Your calling in life.
Yeah.
That's the end of my list. No, I've got one more actually, teasing you in by the end. Black Park. I think we mentioned that last week as well. But I thought it was in Slough, but it's run by Buckinghamshire County Council. So Black Park is named... The park is a type site for black park gravel. A layer of sand and gravel that is dated back to the Anglian Ice Age around 450,000 years ago.
Good heavens.
Yeah, so that's why Black Park is an area, I think it's an area of outstanding beauty. Site of special scientific interest, apparently.
Nice.
So you can understand why after what I've just read out, can't you?
Yeah, it is a special area.
And they film lots of, because it's so near to...
it backs onto Pinewood, doesn't it?
Yeah, they filmed all kinds of stuff. They used to film the Carry On films there, lots of Hammer horror films.
Lots of Hammer horror, yeah.
Batman was there, Fahrenheit, Robin Hood, lots of stuff. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Jurassic World was filmed there as well.
I used to work with somebody that when she was growing up with her parents, they actually lived in a cottage, actually.
On Black Park?
Yeah. And so it was like her backyard. I mean, fancy that
nice, isn't it?
As a kid, sort of running around.
Magic.
Yeah.
I know they do a park run there, and they've got a Go Ape there as well now, haven't they, as well?
That'd be your 5 kilometres round there.
Yeah, I think...
Love park run.
Yeah, I think they have got a flat,
Go
flat
Ape,
park
they've
run.
got a massive Go Ape.
Yeah, I haven't been for a while, actually, to Black Park. It's highly recommended. Any tales from Black Park?
I have never been to Black Park. But I'm writing a list in my head.
Yeah, she's got a long list, hasn't she? Yeah,
I've got pictures of me standing on tree stumps,
Have you?
pretending to be a tree. Yeah.
You got a green top on today. You'd do well in that top, wouldn't you?
I would. Now you see me, now you don't.
An evergreen.
One of
Sonia
its
Evergreen.
unique selling points is have this group of men that, elderly men mainly, who sail these model boats.
Oh, yes, of
on
course.
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. They come along with their little trolleys, tugging their boat, quite a size. They're radio controlled.
Yeah.
All sorts of things, sailing boats, submarines, motorboats. Incredible detail. They're all, children love watching.
Yeah,
We
I bet,
used
my
to go
nephews would
to-
love that.
Yeah, we just used to go as an excuse to feed the ducks.
Yeah.
That was our excuse to go for
Bread
a
or
walk. Well,
duck
yes,
feed.
sadly.
In those
it was,
days, it was
well,
bread.
It was, and then we read that wasn't good, so we actually started creating our own, like, sort of seeded stuff that we used to.
Is that a
make
myth,
out
or
of
is it
bird.
true now that you're not supposed to give the breads
I think it's
bread
more
to the
to
ducks?
do with the water.
Yes.
It affects
Blue algae or something.
the quality of the water.
What, the mould? Would it mould?
Yeah, it
All
forms
their
like lots
poop?
of algae on the surface of the water, which isn't good for the vegetation under the surface of the water because then it can't get as much oxygen if it's being blocked.
So they recommend you give them duck feed or bird feed. don't they?
Seeds and stuff rather
Seeds,
than bread. And I don't think bread is particularly good for the ducks, but I think it's more the quality of the water. You go to somewhere like St Albans Park and the water is just disgusting because people have had the
So, I know what you mean.
yeah, and
Because
It's just
like-
too polluted,
Yeah.
isn't it?
yeah, I don't think it's
Because
good
they
for the water.
don't eat it all. They don't eat all the
Well,
bread.
no, they're too
so-
full up. Yeah,
exactly.
If they get a little bit, I imagine they
Yeah.
can get away with, but they should be
Yeah.
100% of their diet.
So they're trying to stop people from leaving it behind.
Another thing at Black Park is the dog swimming area.
Oh, they've got a dog swimming there.
Especially
April
for
must love
dogs.
that.
Oh, that's so good. My
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
used to love to swim, and you never used to like to take her to,
No.
unless you went to like a river or something.
Yes.
There wasn't really anywhere to take her.
I think they've stopped it now because of the blue algae, but it was great. You watch the dogs go out, and if there was a pair of them, one would like the water and one wouldn't. So one would be in there swimming, the other one would be barking, telling the other dog to come back in again, I guess, because
We've got all
they
these.
were anxious about the other dog, and the other dog was perfectly happy.
They test the water these days, don't they? Because Ruislip Lido as well, they've stopped people swimming in there because they tested the water and it was obviously the duck feces and all the animals that deceased in there and stuff. So they don't recommend you swim in there. They say don't swim in these waters, but there's always people jumping in there, and I think they can get their feet tangled up in the bottom stuff.
Oh,
can't they say?
that's
It's
not good.
dangerous for them there. But they've got a little artificial beach there, haven't they? So the kids are always wading into the artificial beach. But I'm just looking at it going, ugh, duck poo. Like a big pile of duck poo,
this
doesn't it?
does relate. Urban myths associated with ponds and things.
Go on.
A swimming pool near where we used to live, the very highest board had been taken down. The
Top board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the urban myth was that someone had jumped off it and they went down so deep they got their toes stuck in the grating at the bottom and then drowned. I'm sure that wasn't true. All the school kids were determined that was the case.
It's fun, isn't it? I wonder where a lot of these urban myths come from.
It may have been because someone had hit their head. I believe. But
I wouldn't ever go on the top board. It used to terrify me getting on the end there. Just the whiplash of hitting the water.
It also
wrong.
hurts if you don't land. If you don't land properly.
What do they call that? Belly flop.
Yeah, I've never touched wood. I've never done the belly flop, but I used to dive off a
You wouldn't get me
springboard.
diving. That's why you're a braver person than me.
How'd you fit all your hair under a swimming cap? You must have been at it for hours.
Oh yeah, imagine one of those like, little 1930s joggies with the chin strap. Lovely.
That was the worst part of swimming for me. I used to hate wearing a swimming cap.
You're
Worst thing.
constricted.
Oh my God, 'cause getting them off. It wasn't getting them on.
Oh, vacuum.
Getting it off.
Vacuum packed hair.
Pull your hair, half your hair would come out. Of
We
the
were
swimming
lucky
pool.
enough that boys didn't have to wear.
No, awful.
Swimming
I
caps.
never wore a swimming
No?
hat. For
Vaguely, I
for school
remember it.
swimming.
Is that a
Yeah.
hygiene thing, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Make you more streamlined.
You just reminded me of another funny story.
I was never that fast to be streamlined. I'm sorry.
When we when we first started secondary school, we were 12 in those days, and one of the first events in the week to kind of a bit of a bonding thing and to get to know the rest of the year, they arranged us to go to the local swimming pool, Hampshire swimming pool. Unbeknownst to me, that summer, it'd been the summer where Hawaiian shorts had sort of been launched and everyone was wearing Hawaiian shorts. So there was me, one of the first weeks in secondary school, walked out in front of the whole year in a pair of little budgie smugglers. I had a little pair of Speedos on, looked around me. Everyone else was wearing these long
that's
board
horrible,
shorts and like Hawaiian shorts. No one had given me the memo that this was the latest thing, and I had these little things I had on since I was about 7 or 8, these little slips
Just
on.
about
Can you imagine my
everything.
embarrassment?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's
Bet you never lived that down.
To this day, yeah. Oh dear.
we all like to not stand out, don't we?
And do you know also, they say that humans are capable of extra human strength in, let's say, a mother's child's trapped in a car.
Yes.
And they
I'm
can
sure
lift
that's
the car
true.
and sort of that. The same year, I had these little pant things on, and the kids in the changing room can be cruel, so they were trying to rip these damn pants off me just so I was in the changing room with me in the nude, and I developed that strength feel. I grabbed hold of these pants and they were going nowhere for nobody. I was just like whistling away, and they were like 6 or 7 of them trying to drag at these things, and I just developed extra human strength. There's no way those trunks were
Save
going
your
anywhere down.
dignity,
Yeah, they were
yes.
going nowhere down. Speaking of,
Children really are cruel,
aren't they? Aren't they just? Yes, aren't they just? Speaking of my dignity, it's Valentine's Day. We're recording this podcast on the 13th of February. So it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, which got us thinking, what is the history and the background to Valentine's Day? Now, I looked up on the Google, as you do, and there's lots of long articles, but I found a pithy little sentence which appears to sum up what me and Phil thought it was about. So are you ready, folks? One, that apparently there's lots of, I should preface this with saying that there's lots of arguments as to how many St. Valentines there were, and there's lots of different ones. But one St. Valentine was supposedly a Roman priest who performed secret weddings against the wishes of the authorities in the 3rd century. And that seemed to be the background that you had in your head, wasn't it, as well, Phil?
Yeah, vaguely remember
You
that.
have to say yes, because I've just put you on the spot there. You can't say no, can you? Can you remember Valentine's Day as a child? Like your first ever experience of Valentine's Day and the butterflies and giving a card to anyone? Or I can't really. I've got a story, but I can't really tell that one because the card that I bought for this. Again, I don't understand what I was doing. I was 12 years of age and I bought this card for this.
You don't know
girl,
the rules as a child.
And it was, looking back on it, it was kind of like a carry-on in double entendre. But for a 12-year-old to be giving that to another 12-year-old, I was looking back on it thinking I probably shouldn't have done that.
It can be innocent. I mean,
Yeah,
I do know what was written on the card because I have heard this story before, and it is not appropriate.
it's not appropriate. So that's a sign that feel like how inappropriate it is. So we can't even mention it on this podcast. And I was a 12-year-old giving it to another 12-year-old.
It's so inappropriate. It's not being mentioned. When I was in university, there was American exchange year, and I saw the American student woman, and she was Valentine's Day or before. She's airmailing Valentine's Day cards back to America.
Yeah.
It was like a great stack of them.
Yeah.
I said, well, how many are you sending? They said, 12. I said, is that normal in America? He said, in America, you give them to everyone. You give them to your family, your best, same.
That's a nice bit of marketing.
I would
isn't it?
imagine that Valentine's Day started in the US.
Yeah.
Because it's like Halloween, I think it's an American thing that's moved over, so maybe they make more of a big deal out of it than us. I would imagine. I'm gonna look it up over where it started, but I would imagine it was probably America.
And then my dad told me this, what they used to do in Norfolk for Valentine's Day. And it's just, I could not see it at all. It was really weird. You got like a present, a little box of the present, looked like your both typical present box, and you put it outside someone's door with a string attached to it, and then you'd ring on the doorbell, and when they came out, you'd pull it away. And that was like the Valentine's Day.
Was it like an explosion?
Well, I think it just, you thought you got a present. Anti-Valentine's Day thing.
Yeah, the anti-Valentine's Day massacre. Wasn't the Valentine's Day massacre something to do with Prohibition?
Yes, that was gangsters.
Yeah.
That was just coincidence. I don't think they were, here's a Valentine's Day submachine gun thing. Yes, I think it was just coincidence, yes.
Okay, Valentine's Day. It's started based on a Roman festival. Obviously, you were talking about this, about St. Valentine, and therefore it's been celebrated for years, but it came over, basically, Americans made it big, and then it came over from the US. So it is
like Halloween kind of
Probably
thing.
Hallmark has got a lot to answer for.
Yeah, well, it's very commercial, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a feeling, though, I've never been able to prove it, they have 2 Mother's Days in America. They have like Mothering Sunday and Mother's Day. Like, I think,
They have a different Mother's Day to
Yeah.
us, but I'm not sure.
Oh, perhaps it's just they have to celebrate on a different day.
Ours is Mother Church, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember also when we were sort of 8 or 9 at middle school that our local toy shop, The Entertainer, still going strong today.
Yes.
That's how long it's been going. That they had love potion, and when we were 8 or 9, we all thought it was real, and so we had this love potion, and we were like, if you put a bit of love potion in some so and so's, I'm not going to mention their name, drink, she'll fall in love with you, kind of thing. And we thought it was
8
real.
years old.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we thought this love potion was real.
But that's the time you didn't want anything to do with.
You pick, and subsequently, looking back, you're kind of horrible to the girl that you fancy. You pick on them and pull their pig. They call it pulling your pigtails, don't they? They call it pulling.
Well, I've never heard
pigtails.
of that, but no.
Yeah. So the girl that I was keen on, even to this day, she says you used to call me names at school, and I was like, have you not worked it out yet? It's because I kind of liked you, kind of thing. And even to this day, when I see her, I still get those butterflies in your heart, and that's like when I was like 10, 9 or 10, maybe a bit older than that, yeah. You never forget your first love, do you, really? Can you remember your first love?
At that
well, I don't know.
Interesting.
Tell my butterflies. And I should tell another interesting story. So a few years ago on Facebook, they had this trend where you'd put up a post saying, put your name up here and I'll tell you what I honestly think about you. No holds barred. It was like a trend that was going around on social media at the time. Put your name up and I'll put my recollection of you up. And the story stuff. So all my mates were doing it, and I was doing these really long. I put real thought into it, and I was giving them a really long paragraph, and it's a really nice piece on people I met. And she put her name up there, and I was like, I can't even. I don't even know where to begin. And then she complained about a week later that I still hadn't done it. She goes, I noticed you've done everyone else, but you haven't done mine. And I was thinking, I don't really want to say what I want to say to you because she's married now with kids and stuff. And I thought I've been carrying this crush all these years, but I didn't really want to put what I'd. So she took it in a negative in the end because she thought I'd done everyone else but hers, but it was actually a positive because I couldn't really put into words my candle that I've been carrying all those years,
Wow.
And I still got butterflies on my stomach.
Have you taken therapy on this?
This is my therapy now.
Well,
talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
that's right.
Getting out of my head.
Because I'm just thinking now, this would explain about our discussion we had on Tinder or whatever.
Yes, Tinder and
I sort of understand now.
Bumble and all these dating apps. Yeah. We're saying that we don't agree with them because they're a bit throwaway, aren't they? Because you spend your whole life going through school being taught that to look beyond physical attraction and just basing everything on that, and to look into the personality and the other aspects that you're attracted to people, and then you kind of reduce to this base level again on these dating apps now, aren't you? Where you swipe them, you look at their photo and you swipe them if you like them, and if you don't fancy them, you swipe them left, and it's very soul destroying. It's not.
Yeah, it's
not good at all.
Funny that me and Phil were talking about this.
Oh, it's the same.
Walk.
It's the same origin, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about on the walk on Friday about dating apps because I think you mentioned that you'd spoken about.
I've got
on the
a bit. It's fascinating, but I've got to admit, after
and I just think, I mean, they work because I've got two very, very close friends, two couples of very, very close friends to mine that live together, both with mortgages and houses, and that they met on dating apps. So they do work, but I just think because it's so accessible to meet people now, used to old-fashioned have to meet people. It's so far away. The commitment is not there. You know, if you don't like someone, you know, if someone says something, you can just instantly get rid of them.
Instant pressure to entertain and to impress them as well, because and then the girls complain that you're just hitting me with lines and pre-existing lines and stuff, but you have to try and grab their attention early on because they're getting bombarded by 10. I think there's like 4 times as many blokes on these apps as there are women, so it's like a massive pool of
how do you tell that? Do you have a little bars?
Just on the stats from like Tinder and Bumble and stuff. They say there's like 4 times as many men on these apps as women, so there's like 4 men going for every girl kind of thing. So
I just think,
job to get anyone's attention and keep their attention and then get their phone number and then progress it to a date or anything like that.
I don't know much about it, but I think commitment wise it's a lot. You don't need as much when you've got the app, because like I say, if you're not interested you can move on straight away to somebody else. 2 molecules
of ATP to move your finger.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I prefer the good old days, the organic days when you see someone in the pub, wouldn't you, like roundabout, and you kind of caught your eye and you kind of knew that you fancied each other, and then you'd buck up the courage, or you'd be stood next to them at the bar and you'd get them a drink, and then you'd ask them out on a date, and it's very organic, and you kind of already knew that there was a spark of attraction there, and that your personalities kind of matched because you'd spoken to them a little bit. But
that's
now
when you find out.
It's just a series of blind dates, isn't it?
Yeah. And let's put another advert in for the walk on Fridays. This topic originally came up when someone was discussing with me on the walk on Fridays whether you could have such a thing as platonic
relationships. Yeah,
and that's proved to be very interesting. I've learned all about Tinder and all sorts of different things. Yeah.
And we discussed, didn't we, Phil, that there's you make initial judgments over people in a millisecond of you meeting them, like they say, first impressions.
Marry in haste, repent in leisure.
Yeah. Lots of so you automatically make lots of judgments, don't you? Like based
on you, not them.
Yeah,
because it's your preconception.
Well, a lot of them are based around you wanting to have children with them, aren't they? It's like their suitability as a mate, potential mate. It's subconscious. It's like when you first see someone, you're assessing the symmetrical nature of their eyes and their ears and stuff like that. It goes deep into it all. Instant as well. You're like subconscious is like already carrying out an assessment when you've met someone within a millisecond. Oh, they'd be a good mother for my children, kind of thing. Allegedly.
And what did you say? You say like all these people on these. You see a picture of them. They look like, Adonises or goddesses
highlights package,
walking on the earth. In our mortal times. And what do you say when you meet them?
Nothing like it. There's a thing called Catfish, Phil. There's a TV program called Catfish. Yeah, it's a whole
Catfish. It's about angling.
No, it's called Catfish.
I'm so naive.
I think it's to do with the way the catfish
breeds.
Yeah, where it pretends to be another fish, doesn't it?
Does it?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Get the information device out.
It's all about the dating. So if you say that you're 7 foot tall, and then you've used photos that you've all edited, and then you turn up and you meet someone and you're not like that at all. You're completely catfished.
Yeah, they call it catfishing.
Maybe sometimes it don't even exist.
Yeah,
that's what the show's about.
They're gonna
like
know as soon as they see you. What's the point?
Psychological. Phil. I think what they think is that you'll develop a relationship when you're talking to them, and you'll fall for the personality or the person they're pretending to be, and then when they reveal themselves, they'll say, "I'm still the same person you were talking to," and stuff, and that you'll oversee the fact that they've misled you.
Not 7 foot tall.
Yeah, as to their physical attraction. So I think that's the thinking behind it.
And that's a strategy that works, is it?
Not always.
I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have thought it's ever worked, really. But
someone must think it works.
Well, this program,
it works on the program.
A lot of the time, it's blokes pretending to be women, and women pretending to be blokes, and all kinds. And these guys will turn up, and it's their best mate that's been talking to them. And I always started up as a wind up, but then I kind of started really enjoying our chat. So really stuff like that. Catfish. There's a movie as well, isn't there? A movie and a TV series.
A lot of the time, it's just to get money out of people, though.
There's lots of scams as well. They like pretend, oh yeah, I live in Brazil. Come and stay with me. Like, oh, it's going to be $4,000. I'll buy you plane ticket. Send it to me, and I can get a discount for $3,000. So if you send me $3,000, I'll book
So
your ticket.
this is
It's
things
scams.
you've seen on this Catfish.
Oh yeah, there's lots.
It's not from personal experience.
There's a film about that, so it's not called Catfish, is it? It's called
Don't know.
Tinder Swindler, I think it's called.
Tinder Swindler.
Tinder Swindler, yeah. There's a documentary
Love
called
it.
Tinder Swindler, and it's all about the scams that
Love
people
it.
used to get money out of people pretending to be 6-foot blonde American actresses, and they're really in China or Africa somewhere. And it's just blokes
And
scamming them.
only 5 foot
pretending-
11, yeah.
Blokes pretending to be women just to scam vulnerable, lonely old men, basically.
Scary stuff.
It is.
That's really
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, I've had lots of people close to me have been scammed and stuff. So you, when you say to them afterwards, you're like, what were you thinking of? Like, it was clearly a scam, but they don't see it at the time, do they? Because they want to believe the illusion's real, kind of thing. Valentine's Day. Nailed it.
Not very happy topic of conversation.
No,
for
yeah.
Valentine's
So
Day.
from the potential of love to the pitfalls of getting scammed by the Tinder.
I can say since I've been volunteering at Oasis, I've learned a whole lot of stuff like this.
a lot of nonsense from
Stuff
me,
I
Phil,
never
I'm
knew.
Sure, yeah.
I never knew before.
A lot of stuff you never wanted to know.
Yeah, probably. Get down on the street, Phil.
The thing is, you don't want to know it unless you
Until
know it in the first place.
I've educated you on it. Now, our next subject that we're going to talk today is an idea that Phil came up with. And do you want to frame it in the way that you frame it to me, Phil, so I don't paraphrase it?
So the things we do without thinking, they're enjoyable, but you don't think why. And I think one of these is a lot of times people like having a good gossip, don't they?
Gossiping, yeah.
And why is that? Why are they gossiping? Why does it make you feel good?
Why do we gossip is the question. Sonia, immediate thoughts? Why do we gossip?
Do you know what? I've never gossiped.
No?
That's interesting. Well, that's saying something,
Because
isn't it? Yeah.
I know everybody's secrets.
Are you
That's
the
why they
person?
tell you the secrets.
How?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
They
I
can
must
confide
just
in you
have-
because they know you're a safe.
Because they know that I'm not going to
Safe pair
share
of
it with
hands.
anybody. It doesn't go any further than me.
Right.
Sonia
And
the
I've-
safe.
And I've always been
You
like
lock
And what do you do
secrets
with all that
away.
information?
I just hold
Makes
on to
her-
it. I've never
makes her hair
blackmailed anybody with
You
it.
don't have a little book of
No.
income generators if I
No.
fall in hard times.
But everywhere I've been, people just tend to kind of confide in me.
That's a very complimentary thing.
Yeah,
that
I
they
do.
feel that way.
I feel very privileged with
Yeah.
lots of things that people have told me.
Yeah.
But it just stops with me.
And from this day forth, you shall be known as Sonia the safe. Whatever goes in
I
stays
can
locked
think
in.
of worse things.
Yeah, yes.
Do you not gossip in terms of people that you don't know? So like, do you chat about celebrities or I don't know, people in
That's
the
interesting,
public
yeah.
eye? Have you ever like had a view on them that you wish to share with somebody else?
Yeah, I suppose with certain politicians, I suppose, but
Well, what sort of general things might you say?
it's
without
not. But it's
specifying?
only stuff that you would see on the media. It's not personal about them because I
No.
don't actually know those
Yes.
people personally.
Well, I say that. You say that gossip you were spreading about Waddesdon Manor, that poor lady with her...
Waddesdon, can we just clarify? It's definitely
Waddesdon
Waddesdon.
Manor. that poor lady with her, what's it called? The bachelor's pad or whatever it's called.
The Bachelor's Wing.
You were technically you were
I think I
spreading
heard
gossip
that-
about the old lady.
Yeah, I can't. As I say, I really should have looked it up.
200 years ago,
I think you're about right.
It's
a
I think you're about
victimless
right.
crime,
I've
wasn't
seen
it?
The
was-
Bachelor's Week.
But no, yeah, because I don't really talk about celebrities or anything. They don't really interest me. Whether people have
Kylie and Jason and all those days back in the 80s.
Never, I never-
Authorities.
Well,
they already-
Hugh and Manor, Disraeli wasn't as affluent as he might be. And this a woman who's married, another woman said to him, well, I'm going to give you a big donation on condition that I be buried next to you. So he's buried with his wife on one side and this big donor on the other. So again, that's all bits.
maybe it was plutonic.
Yes,
People
But
can
see-
have platonic relationships.
they can have platonic, but does being buried, saying I'm only going to give you a lot of money if I'm buried next to you, does that still categorise as platonic?
Here's the question for you though. Does the brief joy that you get out of gossiping overweigh the guilt that you feel afterwards that you've told
Oh
a
yeah.
secret
If
or
I ever,
about
I'm not.
someone?
I'm
Well,
not
because
quite.
you're a very nice person, Molly.
Well, I'm not really a massive gossip. John might disagree, but I don't Would you disagree?
I wouldn't say you're a gossip. No, I wouldn't say
I
you're a
don't really
gossip.
like to gossip about
I
people
don't think
very
you're a
much.
gossip. I just know you've always seemed to see the positive side of people. I think that's wonderful.
Sometimes I will let off steam about people and then I will feel bad about it afterwards.
Yes, that's interesting.
I think it's really important before you start gossiping about people to have your facts right.
That's very true.
Well, you might got the wrong end of the stick about something.
Very often that is the case.
You know, have you seen that person, what they were doing now? You might not know what they were actually doing. You probably haven't asked them. You're probably just telling people they've gone around doing something which you don't actually know for sure. So I think if you are gonna, I sometimes do let off steam about people that, you know, when I'm frustrated.
It's very human.
I think it's important and healthy. I think as long as it's constructive and honest, like you say, if you know the facts, I think it's important not to make preconceived assumptions about people when you don't know for sure.
Is there a certain honesty as well in people that say, what I've said behind your back, I'd say to your face? That's always a thing I'd say. I wouldn't ever say anything about someone that I wouldn't say to their face. Yeah. So the way you have that makes you very considered in your language and the way you say things, because then you'd say, if I say that to them and then it gets back to them, I want to say it in a way where I would also say that to them, that person. So it makes you very considered over your language and the way you frame it and the way you deal with.
That's a healthy way of putting it. I think that would be my downfall. I'm a completely non-confrontational person. I do not like confrontation one bit. So sometimes when I let off steam and I get really riled about something, I would never be able to go to someone and probably say it to them because...
So you've never blown up someone to their face?
No, I rarely ever, but I will let off steam if I'm annoyed or frustrated.
That's a very good point, isn't it? That because you don't feel comfortable saying that to their face, that it's needed. You need to let off steam about the situation or the thought or the person. You need to get it out of your head, but not necessarily to that person. So
it is sometimes. I would say it's probably best to say it to them if you're frustrated.
Of course, it is
100%. And I'm very rarely like this. So, but I'm not a very confrontational person. So,
as a general rule of thumb, if someone's slagging off other people with you, you'd be pretty confident saying they're slagging off you with other people.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other people are confiding in you as well. And if you know that they're telling stuff that you
don't keep a secret if you can't keep it yourself.
Sure. Don't you know quite soon not to trust them with secrets and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I don't mean to come across as Miss Goody Two Shoes, but also I'm a strong believer in, you know, if you haven't got anything good to say, don't say it at all.
I agree with that.
You know, if you're going to say something, if somebody's doing something wrong, you know, just take them aside quietly and just talk to them about it, because you don't want them to drop themselves in it.
There's another thing which is often attributed to social media. It's like promote what you love, don't denigrate what you don't like, basically. So if you see someone or a situation that you don't like, call out the situation and say that I prefer this rather than slagging off or condemning what they're doing. So promote what you love, not denigrate what you hate.
It's good rule.
Yeah, something you don't. And what I'm learning is you don't need to be confrontational. You can just do what you've said, John, and bring it up in a positive way.
It makes you consider your language and the way you put it as well, so you don't want to upset them, but you still want to get your point across.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Like I said, I don't really gossip very much at all. But I think we're going back to that sort of why we gossip. I think, especially we were talking about then celebrities. I think people get a shared. People, you know, we're talking about why we laugh. Sometimes it brings people together. And that,
it is. There is the element of bonding. The person you're gossiping with, you're sharing a secret,
maybe
pertinent
sometimes
to you too, a privacy.
Maybe you've sometimes been thinking one way about someone else and sharing that with someone, and they feel the same way.
Affirms
it's
you.
like, oh wow, maybe it. You know, I think sometimes it brings people together.
Like a shared kind of bonded secret kind of thing that you know. But a lot of, we said earlier about old wives' tales and urban myths and stuff. A lot of those that you hear about celebrities, they must have been started by somebody out of the blue, and then suddenly 10 years down the line, everyone knows this urban myth about a person.
But don't forget, they're also trying to keep themselves in the public eye.
So there may be an element they're quite happy with it.
Yeah. Some people might, make
get
a
their
story
publicists
out of it.
Exactly.
to put little stories in. A lot of it probably is this propaganda and placement, isn't it?
We wouldn't have most celebrities if they weren't for gossip.
Exactly.
If people weren't talking about them and their lives.
Their livelihood depends on it, that people are talking about what they're wearing or what they didn't do, or,
in the old days,
everything's a photo opportunity.
Before social media, the media had all the power. They could destroy or promote a reputation, couldn't they? But now with social media, they've got a certain amount of power, but it's dwindled somewhat with social media because celebrities have now got direct access to their fans, haven't they? They can say this paper has been out today. It's a load of rubbish. I haven't. Yeah. Me and my wife are perfectly happy. It's just a load of nonsense, and they can squash it. In the old days, the press could have said, if you don't say this about that person and scratch our back, we'll keep running this story. And
it's almost like everyone has a voice now. Whereas before it was just the press sometimes would be the only people who had a voice that could get that information out there.
It's very pertinent as well after what's happened in the last couple of days with Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin, because the mainstream media are having meltdowns about that because they can't control the narratives, because now an independent media person has gone out to see Putin, and Putin's got a direct voice to the rest of the world, hasn't he? Which obviously depends what position you take. The rest of the world wouldn't necessarily want Putin to have any kind of a voice to the world, would they? Because it doesn't go with their agenda and their political anglings and whatnot.
The only problem about being judged by the public is that they don't necessarily have, as Molly said before, they don't have all the facts. They're basing it on other information that they've read in the media.
Yeah.
And they haven't actually,
quite often by exclusion, so the press will leave stuff out deliberately to try and twist you against someone. Or if they want to turn you towards someone, they
or they're getting it from people who they're giving money to say things.
Yeah.
But they might just be making it up because they want the money.
Exactly.
There's a famous book called it's for writing. It's a script writer's book, and it's the one that they recommend that all script writers choose. So it's called Save the Cat. So when you're writing a script, they recommend that you have a scene early on in the piece which displays the courage and valour and good morals of the hero of the piece. So you can set an early stage in your TV program or your film that he's a good guy, really. This guy, look, he saved the cat, he saved the cat. Yeah. He might be a bit of a Jack the Lad, but ultimately there's a cat in the tree and he saved it and no one else did, and he caught it and then he went about his way, kind of thing. So they use it as a character boosting sort of thing, and I guess that's what the newspapers do as well, isn't it? They decide who's good and who's bad, and what suits their agenda at the time, and basically, like Molly said, who's paying them. Like in the old days, it was publicists, wasn't it? Like Max Clifford, he would pay him money, and
it's all manipulative.
For positive.
They're all manipulated.
If you pay me $10,000, I'll make sure I get some positive news in the newspapers about your client to turn around this potential negative story that might be coming out. So it's not as impactful when the negative story comes out. It's all very clever.
I remember talking to a group of young people who were saying that their favourite TV programme was The Apprentice.
Oh yes.
And but I can't believe some of the things that they say and what they get up to. And I said, well, they're making
scripted,
but it's an entertainment program.
Yes, you have to remember that.
So people forget that a lot of things
they reshoot stuff and
exactly,
stuff.
It's not real
scenes
life
in a TV program.
Yeah,
my old boss used to be best friends with Alan Sugar. They used to be on holiday together, and when he'd Skype me, Alan Sugar would be in the background, like, say hello to John. He'd be like,
Lord Sugar, come here.
He'd just gruff. He's a very shy man, so he didn't ever really want to. I used to have emails from Lord Sugar, like recommending box sets that I should buy for my boss and stuff when he got back to the UK. So weird, just like random emails. You might want to try Breaking Bad and The Wire and stuff like that. I just get emails from Lord Sugar.
That's a bit of a clang, John.
So I actually, name dropping there. I do actually know Alan Sugar's email address. I'm not going to give it out on.
No. Suggest you
don't give it out on the podcast.
No.
Have you also heard some of his horrendous jokes in The Apprentice?
They are. But normally before he does his, you're fired.
Oh God, the dad jokes in The Apprentice that Lord Sugar does.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous. They must be scripted because.
Yes.
Well, you think if they were scripted, they'd write them a bit better.
Well, no, they're scripted to be bad. Yes.
They do say that a lot of people remind him of Sid James, don't they? So maybe.
Oh, he does look a bit like Sid James.
Yeah, yes. He often says that people confuse him with Sid James.
Sid James has got the same sort of sardonic humour.
So I think The Apprentice is really hard. Like, they get given 2 days to come up with this massive business brand. it's a really hard challenge for anyone in the whole world to do.
Yeah.
And then they get slated because it's rubbish. But it is because they've had no time to think of it.
Well, that's what they want. They want to see people being slated, don't
Yeah,
they?
Exactly.
Everyone said, you've done a good job. That's what that was.
Conflict makes for better telly. Like that's why they put. When with Big Brother when it used to start, people used to go, I can't understand why they put those two idiots in there. They were never going to get on. I said, well, that's why they're creating the conflict, aren't they?
Exactly.
For the viewing figures and stuff.
Well, that's it. You get this blur between reality, what is actually real.
A big problem with that,
and people don't realise what
soaps as well. We've said it before, haven't they? They think soaps are real, like a documentary.
That's what I feel. I feel that if they actually banned EastEnders for a year, I think people's behaviour would change.
I used to watch it, but every Christmas it was like someone had died or something. It was like so negative and depressing. I stopped watching it. Like they killed someone off every Christmas. I was like, what's the odds on that? Yeah. Every Christmas that someone dies on Christmas Day, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, it's like Midsummer Murders. You wouldn't want to go and live in you wouldn't want to live in Midsummer,
it's all
do you?
around here, isn't it?
Oh yeah, their murder rate must be horrific, eh?
Yeah.
Like, one a day
Exactly.
almost. Well, they film a lot of that around here, don't they?
They do, a lot.
Yeah.
You heard that Hemel is the new Hollywood.
I saw that.
There's
Where did they film there?
Hemelwood.
Yeah, it's
The
Hemelwood now.
1940s or 1950s.
They've been filming so much.
Is that the Bovingdon Airfield? Is that where they
No.
class as
No,
Hemel?
it's the old
old
High
town.
Street. Yeah,
It's the old town. There's
Apparently
I'm watching stuff at the moment all the time. Not just TV shows and films, but adverts as well. Always see Hemel Old Town.
Yeah.
I didn't know where Hemel had an old town. Where's that then?
Hemel Old
In
Town's
relation to the
Near
Wally
Cambridge
World
Park.
roundabout. What do they call it?
Magic
Roundabout.
Not far. It's near the Magic Roundabout. It's near Cambridge Park.
Well, the first time I was driving to, just quickly, Hemel, after I passed my driving test, and I saw the sign for the Magic Roundabout, and I thought it was a synagogue. I said, is there a synagogue around there? Because it had like the circle with all the actual mini roundabouts coming off of it, and there's
I do that
hilarity did
every
ensue.
day, but
Yeah.
I have friends who genuinely will not drive that way.
I imagine it's what you've got to get
It's
used to.
so. Has any of you?
I don't
know
see
it.
the
I know it. I
Yeah,
don't
I've
like
done
it.
I don't see the point in
Lots
it.
of times.
Just have one big roundabout. It's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It would if they just had one big roundabout. You can just if you've missed your turns, or you've got to go
It
round.
works really well. It's just people are terrified of it when they
Yeah,
first do
it is fine.
It's
You've just got to take it really slowly, haven't you? Like take it like any little roundabout, and you're okay.
But yeah, I mean that's what Hemel's famous for is the Magic Roundabout and Buntsfield, the big explosion.
Yeah.
Oh,
Explosion.
yes. Oh, gosh, I remember when that happened.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
very close to it. I was yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Where's the old town then? So
So near
I cut
Cambridge
across you.
Park, just
Which is
literally off.
what's
I don't think he
Cambridge
knows
Park?
where that is.
No, no
Yeah,
idea. Is that
or
where I
just-
parked
The
the other
eyes
day?
aren't lighted up with recognition when you say
It's near.
it.
It's very near. It's just basically off the high street in Hemel. It's down the end towards more Adeyfields way. But it's
And it's called
featured
Hemel Old
on-
Town, is it?
Yeah, Hemel Old Town. It's lovely. It's really nice, and they do so much shooting there for things. It's ridiculous. My friend saw Ricky Gervais down there. They filmed Afterlife. The whole of Afterlife is filmed there.
Oh,
the thing
right.
I'm watching, Masters of the Air on Apple TV. That's all filmed there. There's loads of like I say adverts that you see on TV where they're just filmed outside.
They filmed one in
Becoming
Chesham
new
High
Hollywood.
Street. I remember about 10 years ago.
It's become
Yeah.
I think literally they were there for 2 days filming, and literally the scene that they filmed, it was a banking advert, and it was literally 2 seconds. 2 days it took them just for this like 2 second shot of a man walking down the street in the rain, and they created artificial rain and stuff. They had all these machines out there to make it rain. So they could have just waited a day and it would have rained anyway, wouldn't they? But it's proper torrential rain, so they wanted a proper downpour, I
It's
think. But
amazing where some places are just always used.
you wouldn't
for
get that now, would
filming.
you? Like the today's on the move kind of technology, they'd probably film it on an iPhone, wouldn't they? They wouldn't have 2 days worth of Chesham High Street being cut off, and so
I
they can
don't know, I
probably
think
do a
you'd be
bit of green
surprised.
screening in and put a bit of
I think
grain
you'd
in the
be
background.
surprised. They'll still, they're advertising.
You'd be
campaigns.
like see-through in your green top there today in green screening.
I'll just be
There'd
a head
there'd just a
moving
wandering
around.
head around, yeah, ghost. Like a ghost of Halloween. Has anyone ever been on telly? There's the next question. Ever been on telly, Sonia, apart from your gymnastics, international gymnastics
no, that
career?
I've been
Been
on
there.
telly.
Have you?
Yeah,
Come on, hit us with it.
twice.
Good old Billy Big
Yeah.
potatoes
Well, the
over there.
first time was really. I hope no one ever digs out the video. I was very young at the time. We just got my dog.
Is this when you got punched by the monkey?
No.
Is that on camera?
We just got my dog from a rescue home, and they were doing that week. They were doing a documentary on the rescue home, which I got her from. and they featured her, but we had no idea that they'd featured her in this documentary, and they were trying to do like this story, like the dogs have gone to a good home. So they asked us if we would come on and be on live TV with Matt Baker. And so we were there with our dog, and we were explaining how we got her and that she'd settled in really well, and I was there with my mum, and we were on his sofa chatting about my dog.
Is this on YouTube?
No, you'll never find it. Luckily it was before YouTube and all that sort of stuff. I think I was about 10 or 11.
Matt Baker. Can't be that long ago.
And then also my tennis club featured on BBC News, because during just before Wimbledon,
Rogue Traders.
No, we have lots of female tennis coaches, or young female coaches, which is really unusual for a tennis club. Most females, teenagers, drop out of tennis, and it was unusual. So they were filming us and asking us for that. So, yeah, twice.
So you're the mast of how tennis clubs should be, like for the female coaches.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Well, Cheshire lays claim to being one of the oldest tennis clubs in the country. I think it claims to be the oldest one, but there's one other tennis club that claims to be older. So, what's the name of it? It's Cheshire 1880 something. It's the name of the club, isn't it? And they claim to be one of the first tennis clubs. I think there's another tennis club, as I say, which claims to be the first one up in Warwick somewhere. But
I'd have thought the first tennis club would have been old Hampton Court, where they had the
real tennis.
Yeah, real tennis.
Molly's now beavering away on her device.
Henry VIII's time.
Do you reckon Henry VIII was a bit of a Boris Becker? He had the red hair, didn't he? I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be able to get around the court very much.
I bet he was never beaten, but probably not.
No, yeah.
The best.
Yeah, you let him win. I'll be undefeated in.
That's right.
Might not be the best
opponents were beheaded if they were ahead towards the
here at Edgbaston.
Edgbaston, yeah, I know it's Warwick. He'd gone away. But Chesham 1882, isn't it? They're called 1886.
Yeah, well, the first one was in 1882.
Wow.
That's the name of the
so
thing.
Chesham must have been just after.
That's quite amazing.
Reminds me, Phil, a friend of mine that I used to play pool with, he reminded me of Trigger from Man Fools and Horses.
Oh, yeah,
Some of the famous lines that Trigger used to say. I remember walking...
Was the brush, is it?
How the hell is it the same brush then?
Yeah.
It's had 16 different heads and 14 different poles. How the hell is it the same brush then? So I remember going into the pub once and I said to this guy, "How you getting on at pool tonight?" He goes, "Undefeated. Played 6, lost 3, drawn 1. I walked off, I was thinking, how the hell are you undefeated then?
Yeah.
How the hell are you undefeated? And then once I said to him, "Do you want a pint?" He goes, Nah, I've got to work in the morning. I said, "What, hangover?" He goes, "Nah, I don't get hangovers, but if I have another beer, I feel awful in the morning." I was like, that's a bloody hangover. It's like literally like having your own Trigger from Man Fools and Horses.
But yes, I mean, everyone's like that. He was just a bit more obvious.
Has anyone else been on the TV?
No. Oh, only my laughter.
What?
Only my laughter's been on TV.
Has it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was in studio audience on a number of occasions.
You
for
can
hear
pick yourself
various
out.
things.
Yeah.
What, scoffing? Did you have a scoff or something?
No. But I know somebody that used to do a lot of work for the BBC and used to get us tickets. We used to watch a lot of Alas, Smith and Jones.
Oh, yeah.
With
Griff
Rhys-Jones
That was good.
and
There were some
Mel
good
Smith.
jokes on that.
Yeah, so that was...
Is this linked to your
was
story
quite good.
about Torval and Dean that you can't tell us? Is that the same?
Might be.
Same link, okay. Phil, have you ever been on telly? Or do you reserve your fame for podcasting these days?
So, don't think so.
No, I've probably been on like the crowd at football and stuff. I've seen myself a few times. But I don't think I've ever been on telly. My sister nearly got run over by Jeremy Beadle once.
Oh, no.
If you remember, that's one for the older listeners there. I don't think the youngsters will know who Jeremy Beadle was. He used to have a programme called Beadle's About, didn't he, on ITV?
Yeah, my husband nearly got run over by Elaine Page once at Hammersmith. He was trying to cross the zebra
sing?
crossing. No, and she wasn't going to stop.
Really?
But she did.
Yeah. When she hit your husband. He should have pretended he got hit and like sued her for like £1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
he turned around and said it was her.
It worked quite well in the end because Jeremy Beadle was doing an appearance at a pub, like a personal appearance at this pub, cutting a ribbon or something, and my mum was running late, and so we were rushing round this corner to get there for Jeremy Beadle. My sister ran out in front, and Jeremy Beadle had to slam on his... nearly hit my sister. Got out of the car, and my sister got to meet Jeremy Beadle as a result.
Oh.
So it struck me as like, like a
That could have
funny
been, yes.
dichotomy there, isn't there? Like she nearly got to meet Jeremy Beadle by getting run over by...
What did she like meeting him? Was that?
She was only small at the time, so she probably had no idea who he was. I don't even know why my mum was even taking us to meet him. We probably had no idea who Jeremy Beadle was.
Yeah.
But it gives me a funny story to tell, like 25 years later, there, doesn't he? If she hadn't been run over by Jeremy Beadle, we would have had a story to tell. Yeah, I don't think I have. Radio? Been on the radio? Oh, you've been on the radio the other day, Molly. Molly was on Chiltern Voice.
Chiltern Voice, yeah. I used to do quite regular, one of my old job as well. I used to quite often be on the radio of Inspire FM. Quite often on that.
Did you inspire anyone enough for them to ever mention that they'd heard you on the radio or not?
Not, well, a couple of people mention that they hear you, but they're usually people that you already work with.
That is the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll be like, I heard you on the radio.
Getting outside the bubble.
It's like, it doesn't
That's the problem we've got in Oasis.
We had a bit of fame the other day, didn't we, Phil? One of the guests on the walking group just came over to us and go, "It's Wadston, by the way." And we were like, "What the hell's she on about?" And,
and also, can I just point out, lovely
Waddesdon.
Vanessa was actually wrong.
It was,
it's Waddesdon. We looked it up. It is Waddesdon.
I'd hasten to have Vanessa be listening to this.
Yeah, so
this isn't going to die down.
I'm on your side, Vanessa. I'm on your side. It was whatever
it's definitely Waddesdon. Sonia?
I've always said Waddesdon.
Phil?
I can't even remember how to pronounce my name.
Waddesdon, yeah.
It's definitely Waddesdon.
Waddesdon. You say it quick enough, it can be either, can't it?
Just a quick one, sorry. The broom joke on Only Fools and Horses, you all know it.
No.
You tell
Molly.
Sorry, I have seen it, but you'll probably remind me when you say it.
Trigger got given an award by the council for having the same broom for 20 years or something, and Delboy says to him, "You've had the same broom for 20 years?" He goes, "Yeah, it's had 16 new heads and 14 new handles." And, like that. And he goes, "Oh yeah, was it the same bloody broom then?"
That joke derives from a joke about 400 BC called the Ship of Theseus. This was the ship a hero in ancient Greece used to sail over to another place. The Greeks were so impressed by it that they kept this ship, and they kept it forever. They said it's the Ship of Theseus. They said, "Well, how has it managed to not rot?" "Oh, we've replaced all the wood on it." Just shows no joke is new.
No, absolutely, yeah. I've met him and Roger Lloyd Pack. He used to go to. He's a Tottenham fan, so the pub we used to drink in, we went to Tottenham, called the Bell and Hare. Yeah. He used to be in the corner there, and I used to feel quite sorry for him because everyone would like point at him like, "This trigger, but no one would actually go and talk to him. So I went and talked to him one time. But then it's a fine balance, isn't it? But being respectful, like they don't know you, they don't really want to talk to you. But
if you're the first person,
he's there on his own kind of thing.
But if you're the 50th, they might be fine.
Yeah. This is a good topic of conversation for the next podcast, because we were having this discussion. If you saw me and my friend the other day, if you saw one of your favourite celebrities, would you go over and speak to them? And I think maybe we should have this conversation next week.
That's a good one.
What a teaser, yeah. We've got the subject for next week. So before we finish, we've got a few minutes left. Would you like to choose a number between 1 and 99? So I think, Son, you chose last week, so I reckon it's Phil's turn to choose. So we've had 1 to 4.
What are we left with? 1 to 4?
1 to 4's gone. I think 27 you went with, didn't you? Because it was one of my favourite numbers. And 63 I think's gone as well.
Yeah.
Apart from that.
Well, just 5 then. What about 5? Just try and keep it working up from the...
Do you remember the first novel you ever read? If so, what was it? Now, I think... I can't really remember. I remember reading... The Die of the Triffids or the Tripods or something.
Day of the Triffids.
Day of the Tripods.
There's some tripods in it, wasn't there? Wasn't there some tripods in it, like some aliens? There would be these big tripods.
Like
I think that was in.
Film.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Oh, there is such a thing as a tripod. I stand corrected.
And
the Day of the Triffids where the plants come alive.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and also Stick of the Dump. I remember reading.
Now that's impossible because that's a children's book.
Yeah, I remember reading that as a little.
It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it was.
Day of the Triffids is terrifying.
Oh yes, it's poisonous.
Maybe it wasn't
plants
then. Yeah, maybe it wasn't.
Plants come alive and start.
Yeah, but I remember reading Stick of the Dump.
Stick of the Dump, I can understand.
And I remember being a little baby. Well, I remember being a baby as a toddler, being pushed around Draffens in Presswood as a young baby, and I remember seeing this book. It was Zorro. It was an adult's book.
Zorro, yeah.
But it had pictures in the middle,
Zorro.
and I just kept badgering her to get me this Zorro book. I couldn't read it or anything, but she bought me this book. Just had the pictures in the middle. That's the earliest book I remember, like this shiny Zorro book with the pictures inside. Molly, can you remember the first novel you ever read? If so, what was it?
I used to read the Fantastic Five. Used to love
those
that's
books. Enid Blyton.
Yeah, Enid Blyton. I've read a lot of her books. Yeah. I liked Mallory Towers. My mum got me to read all those sorts of books. Yeah. I loved Mallory Towers. Oh my god, I read those books so many times. What was the other ones as well? The Twins at St Clair's. Loved those books.
Same sort of ilk.
Yeah, they were the first proper books I think I read.
5 Children in it? Was that one of hers?
That's a good. Don't know if that's Enid Blyton, but it's
the
a good
Sammy
book.
Ad. We were talking about that the other day, weren't we? Yeah, the Sammy Ad.
Yeah, no.
It used to have the Famous 5 and the Secret 7.
And what was the dog called?
See a theme here.
Timmy was the dog called Timmy, wasn't it?
Yes, that was Famous 5.
There you go, I can remember that. I must have read that as well then. I don't read many books these days. I haven't got the attention span for it. I think I've been ruined by YouTube and all these shorts and all these TikToks and stuff. I haven't got the attention span to sit. I read Jordan Peterson's book. That was a bestseller recently. Sonia, can you remember the first novel you ever read? Was it a Jackie Collins one? Molly, they were romance novels in the 80s.
I suppose it wasn't really classified as a novel because it wasn't,
War and Peace.
It was frowned upon at the time.
Reading?
Lady Chatterley's Lover?
Enid Blyton. It wasn't
even by then it was...
Yeah. When I was at
Enid
school.
Blyton as well.
Yeah, my favourite books, though, were The Magic Faraway Tree.
Oh, don't think I read that
Didn't
one.
you ever...
Rings a bell, remind me.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Does it? Rings a bell, I can't quite place it, tell me.
It's basically these children discover a magic tree in the wood, in the enchanted wood, which goes up to the sky. And there's a land that lands...
How can you remember this? I can't remember any of these books I read when I was little.
At the top of it.
Amazing,
But there's also people that actually live in the tree itself.
That sounds great.
Called there's Moonface, there was Saucepan Man, there was Silky,
wow.
and they had a thing called a slide that went round them down to get down from it. You'd have to climb up it, but you had to
slide down,
and it was called the Slippery Slip.
Isn't it amazing what our brains remember? Like how long ago that was you read that? And it's all
was that
still
just
in there.
one book or a series?
There were three, and in fact, because I kind of learnt to read using this book because I was actually, when I was younger, I was quite poorly. I used to suffer a lot with my tonsils. I had tonsillitis, and I was
just liked ice cream, didn't you? You wanted to get free ice cream.
I was forever off school, being unwell and whatever. And I remember my mother was trying to keep me happy, and she was reading this book to me. And it was a trilogy of them. There was The Enchanted Wood, there was The Magic Faraway Tree, and then the last one was called Up the Faraway Tree. But the one that I remember was the one in the middle, called the Magic
So you started in the middle,
Tree.
then you read the prequel.
And then I did the prequel and the
I wonder if
after.
that's where you got your love of gardening and plants
I don't know,
and
it
stuff
could
from.
do.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic book. Now, why on earth nobody's actually made a film of
yes,
it?
there may be a copyright issue with it.
Yeah,
sounds
I really
like a very good film.
Well, it is of its time. The girls were supposed to be mending sort of clothes and things.
Well,
and they did sort of housewifey things that would probably be frowned upon
as you're
these
wearing
days.
that green top, we could do a green screen version of the film, couldn't we? And put trees and stuff in the background.
It was just fantastic. They had, they had toffee shocks, which were like these sweets that used to explode in your mouth, and Google buns, and it was just, if anybody...
All the details you're remembering, I can't. This is blinding me. I can't even know if they were tripped into a tripod.
Yeah, I'm
it sounds
absolutely
very
stunned.
inventive.
It was.
Very inventive.
It was. It really,
What's inspired
really was.
the young Sonia, and it's just stuck in your brain the whole time.
I've still got them at home, the three books.
Yeah, maybe you should read them again, do a review. Next week we'll do a review of the
Read all three of them by
book.
next week.
Yeah. Longest podcast ever.
I wish we could develop a book club associated with ACES, but I think
we've sort of had the thought about it quite a lot.
I think that'd be great.
It's just any 18 to 25-years want to help us run it, we'll do it.
There you go.
But as I
where
said,
are they all hiding?
Yeah, but as I never really sort of used to mention it. I used to have to keep quiet about it because Enid Blyton, when I was at school, was very frowned upon.
Did she write this book then? Was that one of hers?
Pardon?
Was that one of her books? The Tree of Hope, whatever it was called.
Yeah, Magic Faraway Tree.
One, yeah.
But,
and there's a tree involved.
Yeah.
Phil, as we draw to a close, and can you remember your first novel?
It's so difficult remembering back to when you were 3 and 4.
Anything jumped into your head?
I think it might have been A Short History of Time.
I was allowing a short moment of time to pass before I looked blankly at you there.
Trust you. All I'd like to say is trust you.
Yeah. I can't remember.
It wasn't War and Peace or
the
History of the Universe.
In the original
probably read
Russian.
Something really long and difficult, didn't
along
you, Phil?
those lines,
I quite like the William books by Richard Crumb.
Yeah, along those lines, I think the first proper book I ever read and I actually enjoyed was Charles Dickens' Little Dorrit. I had to read that for school.
Yes.
But I think it was the first book that I actually...
That could be a bit creepy, some of those
Yeah, it
charts,
is. But it's the first book I ever kind of got into.
There we go.
Really.
Our times are closed today. So would everybody like to say their salutations? Can you use salutations for goodbye as well, or is it just hello?
Salutations.
Stop posing questions at the end of the podcast,
at the end of the
John.
podcast.
Yeah.
So our goodbye salutations. Molly, would you like to say goodbye?
Happy Pancake Day.
Yeah,
Enjoy
happy
your
Pancake Day today. We forgot to mention that,
Oh,
didn't we?
yes.
Happy Pancake Day and Valentine's Day for tomorrow.
And
Let's hope you get
Valentine's Day.
pancakes and Valentine's cards and
Yeah.
chocolates. And what else do you get on Valentine's Day? I don't really know. Hint,
Stop posing questions at the end of the
everybody send
podcast,
me
John.
Valentine's Day.
Was that a hint?
It was, wasn't it? So goodbye, everybody. Sonia, would you like to say goodbye? Molly's already said goodbye.
Oh, cheerio, everybody. Take good care.
Yes.
Phil,
Namaste.
namaste. Goodbye, everybody.
The Let's Be Frank podcast is brought to you by the Oasis Partnership, a charity providing high-quality social and psychological support services to improve people's mental health and well-being. We deliver socially inclusive, open-access support for the wider communities of Buckinghamshire through pioneering and innovative partnerships and initiatives. Oasis provides free and subsidised health and wellbeing classes and support groups for the Chiltern area, including mindfulness, yoga, fitness, art and music. Oasis also helps support people to reach their full potential through our substance misuse treatment service, Routes to Work and outreach service. The Oasis Substance Misuse Treatment Service is provided in partnership with Inclusion, part of Midlands Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, delivering 1 recovery bucks. The Let's Be Frank podcast was launched in tribute to the memory of long-term Oasis patron and world-renowned cinematographer Frank Hodge, and is recorded in the Frank Hodge Podcast Studio, our new community podcasting facility launched in his honour.